think a lot of books out there still don't talk about the fact that female desire and female sexual agency exists. Still, females respond to male attraction as opposed to have their own sort of sexual attraction and sexual desire that they might be pushing as well. And so the conversation is still actor and acted upon, if that makes sense. So, I mean, I think that's that. And so obviously Welcome to Consent provides a really good base, which then means that young people hopefully have the capacity to, even when they get literature or they read young adult literature, which might present consent in a way that doesn't have that nuance that we would like it to have, it allows them to critically evaluate that. How would you like to see Welcome to Consent disseminated and put into the hands of young readers? What do you think is the best way to do that? Can readers, would you say that you would want it in school libraries and school and teacher librarians, not advertising it, but making their students aware of it? Is it something that you think parents be aware of that they then can get and their children? What's the best way to put this in the hands of young readers? And
I have really expanded my own horizons as we wrote the book, and particularly as we came to pre-print, final bits of copy editing. I really went, wow, this is not just for adolescents. Unlike perhaps, our first book, Welcome to Your Period, where there was certainly a lot of Dolly Doctor material that allowed me to structure the content, because I knew what girls were asking, and I was there myself, we've all been there. So whereas with consent, a lot of it, in terms of the research we had to put into it, was conceptual stuff. And I grounded my writing by interviewing a lot of current teenagers, boys and girls, and asking them what consent meant to them and what they were learning about it. When it came to seeing the final, copy of this book as it went to print, I thought this has been actually really helpful for me, just as an adult in the world, as a parent, as a doctor, and as an educator. And I actually felt that consent it's a huge and conceptual topic, but the book is full of really practical techniques. So I actually think it's really important for parents to read the book, almost as important as for their adolescent children, in fact. I think it's actually a really useful resource for teachers. And I say that because the first person I interviewed before I started writing the book, before Yumi and I had our first meeting to nut out the structure of it, was in fact someone who is a teacher and who is in a senior position, who is involved in writing curriculum and syllabus. And I said, what's taught currently? What would be most useful? What do you think young adolescents need to know that they're not receiving in the classroom? And I now know that there are many teachers that have said to me that they would find this book really useful. And in fact, I'm actually working with a curriculum expert at the moment to see what resources I can help them with to disseminate to teachers. So I do think it's going to be a useful resource, and that's possibly, been made, become more critical in the current media climate and the demand of young people, really, that they want better education around sexual consent. To come back to your first point about it's all for all the wrong reasons, that suddenly this book is kind of got some prominence. I agree with that, really. I mean, I have always taken what I call a sex positive approach to childhood and adolescent sexuality. We demonize, we stigmatize sexuality, particularly in young people, and it just doesn't make sense to me. All the evidence says that being positive about sexuality, having conversations about it, improves healthy sexual development. So we shouldn't stigmatize and demonize it. And I think I really tried, we both did, Yumi and I, but one of my big focuses each time we went through the iterations of the book, and it was a lot of iterations, was to say, where are the really positive messages? Every page needs to have a positive message about it's okay to want, to expect pleasure. You have the right to pleasure when you're having sexual experiences. You have the right to feel good about yourself. You have the right to have agency over your body. So we really tried to come at it far more from a positive angle than from saying, well, consent is all about learning how to say no. In fact, that is one message, but it's not the main message.